Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back, everybody. The last few videos have been a bit of a bummer, haven't they? Just a few books in a row that just really didn't grip me, really didn't work for me. If you want to check out my thoughts on them, you can check out the video in the corner, 𝕤𝕠𝕠𝕜𝕤. But today, let's talk about a book that I actually did really like. A kind of recent discovery for me is that I am super into stories that focus on xenobiology, that focus on exploration of aliens. The more alien, the better, the more other, the better. I really love books that explore this sort of otherness, this other life form in ways that are very unique. Things like Children of Time, things like Blind Sight, where the alien isn't just some little grey man, it is this type of life form that is just so different from humanity that exploring it is almost impossible. And I also really like survival stories. So when I read the blurb for Adrian Tchaikovsky's Shroud, which is all about a crew of people stuck on an alien moon full of life forms that are other than themselves trying to survive, I was super pumped. I was pumped enough that I picked up this lovely broken binding edition. Ooh, ASMR. With the sprayed edges and lovely cover and stuff. And helping it along is that it is written by Adrian Tchaikovsky, who wrote Children of Time, which is a sort of xenobiology sort of book that I adore and is one of my favourite science fiction books of all time, and placed very highly on my recent top 15 sci-fi books video, which you can check out in the corner, 𝕤𝕠𝕠𝕜𝕤. So I was pretty sure I was going to enjoy this one. And luckily, I was right. So let's start off with the things I really liked about this book. First off is I don't think you can talk about this book without talking about its, in my opinion, most interesting factor, and that is its narrative structure. This book is told in a series of parts, you know, part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. But what sets it apart is that each part is split into 2 parts. And I've said part too many times, the word is weird now. So we'll see all of the events first from our human characters' perspectives. They will experience what's going on, try and survive whatever trouble they're facing right now, and interact in very human ways with the life forms that they come into contact with. We will then see the same events played back, but from the perspective of the alien life. And this is just so fascinating. It really lets us see, one, in how these life forms, these intelligences, think so differently, act so differently, are just so different from how we are. And it allows us to explore both sides, trying to figure out what the other one is doing, but bringing into that discussion, bringing into that planning, but bringing into that deduction their own biases. The humans are bringing into this thoughts the ways humans act, the way they know that humans act, the way they know humans think, the way they know humans would react in these situations. And the aliens are thinking in the ways that they know how they react, how they know aliens work. For example, be completely sure that they know what's going on, they know what the alien is thinking, they know why it's done what it's done. And then you get to see it from the alien side and find out that no, that's completely wrong. It's not even close to what they were thinking, because they just don't exist in the same sort of form. They don't exist in the same sort of mind space that it is almost impossible to predict each other. And it's this structure, seeing the story from both sides, that really takes this book from a good science fiction book to a great science fiction book, one that I think most people that watch my channel are probably really going to enjoy. What helps that along is the human characters. Without going into spoilers about who or what or why we end up with the characters we end up with a very small group of human characters that we care about, and their relationship is super organic. It comes across as very real. They are very different characters from each other, and it's in these differences that they find conflict and strength and camaraderie and annoyance. The dialogue remains just as good and just as crisp and just as organic as it was in Children of Time. It reads very believably, it reads very emotionally, and it just works. It's very emotionally charged, this book. And at no point did I feel like characters were taking actions in service of the plot, rather than in service of their own motivations and their own wants and needs. I end up caring very deeply about the relationship between these characters. I end up caring very deeply about the safety of these characters, because they just feel like real people by the time we get to the end of the book. And these emotions that are on display, primarily like stress and tension and claustrophobia and awe and wonder, they feel as vivid and as real as the characters. They feel almost like side characters in amongst themselves, especially like the stress and the tension. It's rare that a book kind of stresses me out, but this one did manage to do that. There were moments in this book where I was like, as an outside observer, knowing what I knew about, things from our sort of omnipotent book reading perspective, I knew that we were about to make a mistake. I knew that, see, I'm saying we. I knew the characters were about to make a mistake. I knew that things were about to go wrong. And I just really wanted to reach out and be like, no, stop, don't do that. This is what's going to happen if you do that. And then obviously when you're right, you just feel this gut wrench, this kick of just regret that things have gone this way. And that level of stress just led to a book that was exciting and kind of like a roller coaster the entire time. Now, if I had to pick complaints for this book, if I, gun to my head, you're being forced by yourself to make a YouTube video about it, make some complaints. The only real negatives I can think of is, firstly, it does drag just a tiny bit in the middle. For the most part, the pacing is fantastic. It's kind of this alternating between this slow, methodical, scientific sort of research sections and then high-octane sections of danger and threat. And then just this flipping back and forth between them without letting yourself rest. But perhaps in the middle, if I had to complain, it might repeat that survival novel trope of have a problem, solve the problem, new problem. It might repeat that maybe one too many times, maybe in quick succession, and I did find myself being like, okay, all right, I know where the story's going now, let's just kind of get there. And secondly, the world building of sort of the surrounding universe, not of the world, the moon that we're on, that's fantastic, but of the surrounding universe. It exists, but it doesn't serve the story as much as I would have liked. It has this very anti-capitalist, anti-corporation message, warning about the effects of corporations taking us into the stars and what that's going to do to regular human life. And it's a message I absolutely agree with. It's a message I think is important, but it's a message that doesn't feel like it's really serving the narrative in this book and more feels like kind of a stapled on capitalism is bad message, which I agree with, but doesn't feel like it is super important to this book, and it feels kind of like an afterthought. But really, those are kind of my only real complaints about this one. And they're really incredibly minor. Like, if someone was to ask me for a book to read, I would give them this without any caveats, without any, watch out, it does drag a bit in the middle, because it's not really that bad. This is a highlight of the year for me so far, and I just don't understand how Adrian Tchaikovsky can write so many good books. Caveat, I have only read Children of Time and now Shroud, but the man releases like 3-4 novels a year somehow, and like 2 of them got nominated for, I think it was the Nebula Awards or was Hugo Awards. 2 of them got nominated for a very prestigious award last year. I think that was Alien Clay and Service Model, neither of which I've read, but Alien Clay is right here. I am planning on reading that very soon. But as for rating for Shroud, ASMR again, I think I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I thought it was really, really good. It was a real highlight of the year, and I think that, if you like the sort of books that I like on this channel, if you've been following me for a while, or if you see my reviews, then I think this is a good pickup. I think this is a book that you are going to really enjoy. And bonus points, it is now available in stores in normal paperback size instead of gigantic, so that is very nice. And an additional bonus, it is a bingo book. If you are new here, if you didn't follow my videos last year, this bingo I'm talking about is hosted by Reddit's fantasy subreddit. I will have links in the description below. It is a year-long readathon, a year-long reading challenge with 25 reading prompts with optional hard modes, with the intention of making you read things that may be a little bit outside your comfort zone, maybe reading things you wouldn't have otherwise. I had a fantastic time doing bingo last year. I will have, again, links in the description below to the playlist, as well as in the corner, ℙ𝕚𝕚, where you can see reviews for every book I read last year, as well as my overall thoughts, my ranking videos, all that sort of good YouTube stuff. But for now, this is 2025's board, ℙ𝕚𝕚. As you can see, we only have 1 done so far. I am being really slack on bingo this year, but I am going to catch up. Luckily, Shroud accidentally filled the bingo space. It fills the book in parts space, which just means that the book has to have multiple parts, part 1, part 2, part 3, age 1, age 2, age 3, not chapters, but, like act 1, act 2, act 3, that sort of stuff. And the hard mode for this one is it has 4 or more parts, and I think Shroud had 5 or 6. I'll just check. Shroud had 6. So even though I was considering using an Adrian Tchaikovsky book in another square, and you can only use an author once, I think I am just going to go ahead and lock it in for the book in part square, and if I'm struggling by the time we get near the end of the competition, then I can just switch it out and move stuff around. So there you have it. Thank you so much for watching, if you still are. Thank you so much to everyone that supports the channel. If you want to pick up a copy of the book and help support the channel, there is a link in the description below. And thank you so much for the people that have joined the channel membership. I really, really appreciate it. I can't say thank you enough. I know videos have been a little bit sparse this past month, between falling into a bit of a reading rut, and then I got COVID again. Reading really took a backseat. But I'm really excited to announce I finished The Devils by ℓ𝕬𝕜 and really enjoyed it, so there'll be a review coming up for that soon. And I am now reading Anthony Ryan's A Tide of Black Steel. Here is the dust jacket. Side note, hardcover readers, what do you do with these when you're reading the book? Do you read the book with it on? Do you just kind of find somewhere to put it and hope it doesn't get destroyed? I'm just kind of hoping it lives up here and doesn't get destroyed. But yeah, so I have a few fun videos coming up. Probably no June recap video, because I read like 75% of a book in June because I was sick for most of it. So I'll see everybody next week with another book review. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that YouTube stuff. But most of all, please just remember to keep reading. Ciao.